how hard do you think it actually would be to take a ball out of a cup?
Doesn't sound hard.
It doesn't sound hard, but when you're playing Q, it's actually a lot more difficult than you think it is. So, Jose, what did you think of the game Q?
Well, you know, this game comes out and you're like, yay, a Kinect game. Trying to play it with Kinect is almost impossible.
It's actually impossible. I tried it with the Kinect and I'm just fighting my way through it. So, fun fact, it's actually a mobile game, a free one at that. Now, try to explain the game, because it's not just about a ball in a cup.
You know, it's a scenario.
Yeah.
Get this ball out of this box. All right, maybe I'll draw something that'll tip the box over. Great, that works. But then it gets to things where, like, flip this guy over. And you're like, I'll drop a ball on him. And you drop a ball and he starts doing flips. You're like, well, that wasn't what I wanted him to land on his feet. Just get all these balls from this section over to this thing. You're like, and I have to draw something, so I'm like, how do I draw like a ladder? Can I draw like a steps? I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do. Skip this one. I ended up most of the time just skipping all the things and going until, but you have to beat a certain amount of levels before you can unlock new levels.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating part, because the free mobile version, you can actually jump to the different categories, because they start off with a bunch of primary puzzles, and then you move to secondary, tertiary, and there's more actually. But on the Xbox, you can't actually move forward until you complete them all. And that's a bit frustrating, because these are really, really difficult. And it's a physics-based puzzler, so you have to be very well, not super precise, but you have to at least know what you're trying to draw. Like, say you're drawing a giant ball that needs to, like you drew a seesaw, and you need to draw a ball to let it bounce something else over.
Sure.
You have to draw it at the right size. If it's not the right size, it's not gonna have the momentum. I mean, it gets really complicated.
But like you mentioned, even drawing a seesaw, you're like, okay, well, draw a triangle. And now I gotta draw a thing. And then you draw it and it tips over.
Yeah.
You're like, damn
if your seesaw's not perfect, you're retrying. So
you have to be picture perfect with your, I need a leveler out there, like on my hand while I'm drawing, and I like draw it across.
On the bright side, you do get a lot of achievements as you're failing, because I was unlocking achievements left and right, like trying 300 times on one puzzle.
Right. You're like, oh, it said something, it was like you drew an elephant.
Worth an elephant,
weight. Yeah, I'm like,
I think I ended up doing the circumference of Stonehenge at one point, because that's how many times I've tried a certain puzzle.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get this like really flighty girl named Alex with an antenna on her head, and you have to bounce her into a box.
Yeah. As soon as you touch it with anything, it's flipping over, doing crazy. You're like, no, I just wanted you to land on your feet.
It is quick. You can just retry with the snap of a button. That's why I'm not sure why you would ever use Kinect, because at least with the controller, you just hit X, restart.
And I found like even the circumference of the dot is very big. So even when you're trying to draw like lines or trying to draw like kind of fine-tuned things, they're so thick on the screen. You're like, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want a giant, huge brick.
And some puzzles actually require you to be relatively quick. So like the one where the Chinese characters are falling, you had to block it. So you have to be already positioned to draw the line, to block everything that's falling down. So it's really challenging.
Yeah, no, it's definitely challenging.
It's a quirky puzzler, but ultimately Q's just too hard for me. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's hard. And that's why I'm giving Q just a 5 out of 10.
I'm also giving it a 5 out of 10.